But you've been saying recently that, one of the things that's inevitable is some kind of an AI disaster, and we're hoping that it's like 100 people that die, and not 1,000 or 10,000 or a million or even 100 million. But suppose that it does play out, that there's a catastrophe that's a wake-up call. What do you want to do with that wake-up call? What's the next move for Eric Schmidt after the wake-up call?
Well, so the background here is that Dr. Kissinger, Henry, and I spent an awful lot of time talking about the period in the 1950s where he was a key component of all of these things. And so what he did was he used the fact that we had used the nuclear bomb to negotiate over about a 15-year period a set of treaties that restricted nuclear proliferation. Those treaties, when they were negotiated, have allowed us to be alive today. So these were centrally important. Without controlling the spread of enriched uranium and the other secrets, we would all be toast, literally, because of crazy people and so forth. Is there an analogous set of things that we can do? The problem here is, or I guess the good news is, we're not in a war, we haven't had a nuclear bomb, we don't have that thing to discuss. So we can talk about it, but governments tend to act reactively. So let me tell you, there are three obvious threats right now.
What if the next global catastrophe isn't nuclear, but algorithmic? Eric Schmidt, the man who once ran Google, warns that AI could trigger a disaster so severe it makes past crises look small. He compares today's moment to the 1950s, when nuclear treaties were the only thing standing between humanity and annihilation. The implication is chilling. Without similar guardrails for AI, we're gambling with survival itself.
Which I think are fairly well understood. The first is misinformation. And the software that we're all collectively giving people allows for all sorts of misinformation, fake videos, fake news, what have you. We all understand this. It's all open source. That's done. That's a threat to democracies, and maybe to dictatorships, but certainly to democracies.
Fake news, fake videos, fake reality. Schmidt says this isn't theory. It's already here, and it's open source. Democracies, built on trust, are the most fragile in this storm. If truth itself can be forged, then elections, debates, and even history become weapons. The practical step? Treat media literacy like national defense. Verify before you share. Question before you believe.
The second one is cyber. And I think one way to understand cyber is that if you can write code, you can also write cyber attacks. It's the same logic. And you have these incredible gains in software. It's frightening how good these remember, my career is as a programmer. These things program better than I ever did. It's like shocking, right?
Schmidt's second threat is cyber warfare. And he speaks as a programmer who knows the stakes. If AI can write flawless code, it can also write flawless attacks. The same breakthroughs that power innovation can be turned against banks, hospitals, or power grids. The line between progress and sabotage has never been thinner.
And then the third one is bio. And I think most people believe that one of those three will create some kind of mini crisis that will then cause the governments to say, hang on, let's have a conversation about how to really deal with the downsides. You have to be aware that these things are possible. The one I'm particularly worried about is biological, and it goes something like this. You take some existing pathogen, and using biological techniques, which I won't discuss, you can modify it enough that it cannot be detected, but it's still quite dangerous. That's an example of a threat. There are many others.
Of all the threats, this is the one Schmidt fears most. He warns that AI could help modify pathogens to make them undetectable but still deadly. That means biology itself becomes hackable. The upside of AI in medicine is enormous, but the downside could be catastrophic. Eric Schmidt's warning isn't about science fiction. It's about the world we're already building, one where truth can be manufactured, code can be weaponized, and biology itself can be rewritten. The three threats he names, misinformation, cyber, and bio, aren't distant possibilities. They're live wires humming beneath our feet. But here's the future we rarely imagine. What happens when these threats converge? When a deepfake sparks panic, a cyber attack cripples response systems, and a modified pathogen slips through unnoticed? That's not a movie plot. That's a plausible chain reaction in the next decade. History tells us that humanity usually acts only after catastrophe. Nuclear treaties came after Hiroshima. Financial regulations came after crashes. The question is whether AI will follow the same tragic pattern, or whether for once we can act before the wake-up call. Picture the year 2035. Entire elections decided by AI-generated narratives. Wars fought in milliseconds by autonomous code. Medical miracles delivered by algorithms, while in the shadows, engineered pathogens spread faster than we can detect. The same technology that could extend human life might also end it. Schmidt's message is clear. The upsides are extraordinary, but the downsides could be civilization ending. The future won't pause. The only question is, will we? And in our next deep dive, we'll explore how governments are already experimenting with AI in warfare, and why the battlefield of tomorrow may not involve soldiers at all.